This witness has been previously sworn to testify truthfully. Ms. Anderson.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Imhoff. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Eric Imhoff. I am HOF.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Imhoff, I'm going to show you what has already been admitted into evidence as defense exhibit number 90. Would you take a look at that, please?
Yes.
And what do you recognize defendant's exhibit number 90 to be?
This is a current copy of my CD.
Now, Dr. Imhoff, tell the jury a little bit about your education and background.
Certainly. I earned a bachelor's in science with a specialty in psychology from James Madison University in 1989. I proceeded directly from that institution to the Virginia Consortium program in professional psychology. They've since changed the name, I'm sorry. The Virginia Consortium program in clinical psychology. And earned a doctorate in clinical psychology from that institution in 1996. It's actually a conglomerate of 4 universities: Old Dominion in Norfolk, the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, Norfolk State in Norfolk, and also Eastern Virginia Medical School.
And Dr. Imhoff, if you can do me a favor, you're a low talker. If you could use the microphone. Pull it
My
forward,
apologies.
so-
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. What is your profession?
I am a forensic psychologist.
What does a forensic psychologist do?
We practice in the area where psychology and mental health issues intersect with the legal system, the criminal justice system. Our role is to help educate the court regarding mental health issues.
Does that mean that you're a licensed psychologist?
Yes.
Okay. What are you currently licensed?
Currently, I'm licensed in my home state of Florida. I also retain my license from Virginia. And I'm also licensed in Alabama, as well as Connecticut. And I hold a temporary license here in Texas that was issued in September of last year. It's good for 1 year.
In addition to doing forensic work, do you do any clinical work?
No, I only do evaluations.
How long have you been a practicing psychologist?
I actually began practicing prior to earning my degree. I started in 1993. I worked in a very large residential juvenile treatment center in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Tell the jury a little bit about your career. What have you been doing over the years since your graduation?
Well, so I worked in that institution until I took actually a different position with the parent company. I was employed by the Pines Residential Treatment Center, which was owned by First Hospital Corporation. They then instituted a program where they wanted to do research and outcomes and study kind of the interventions we were doing with our youth to see what was more beneficial, what was more helpful. I took that position in about 96, 97. I maintained that position until 99 when I decided to take a position as the program director of the Department of Juvenile Justice Level 8 secure facility in Pembroke Pines, Florida, which is what then brought me to Florida. I worked for that institution, unfortunately, for a very short period of time. New management came in, they just restructured things. They put me into a position of director of research and outcomes for their company, which I didn't really want to do. And in June of 2000, I started my own practice. And I've been doing that ever since and done different work in that practice.
Dr. Imhoff, are you a member of some professional organizations?
Yes.
Are those reflected in your resume that has been admitted as defense exhibit number 90?
Yes.
In looking at your resume, do you have any corrections that you need to make?
The only mistake I noticed this morning was I'm a member of a professional organization known as the Association for the Prevention and Treatment of Sexual Abuse, or ATSA. I am also a member of the state chapter of that organization, of which I was a board member. I've been a board member for a very long time, but I stopped being a board member in 2000, and that's not accurately reflected in my CV.
That organization that you were speaking of, were you the president of that organization?
Yes, on 2 occasions.
And for how many years?
The first time I was president was for 3 years. The second time was for 5 years.
Dr. Imhoff, have you ever been published?
Yes.
How many times have you been published?
Outside of work that I did as a graduate student for professors and got published that way, the only other publication I have was a book chapter related to assessing internet child pornography offenders.
Is your practice more evaluation and less research?
I do no research.
Have you ever presented to professionals at conferences on the topic of autism?
Yes.
Have you ever trained any non-mental health professionals on topics related to autism?
Yes.
How often would you say to speak?
Maybe once every other month or 3 or 4 times a year. And we train attorneys to understand autism. We train public defenders, federal public defenders. We train prosecutors. We've done some trainings with the Sexually Violent Predator Program in Florida. We've trained probation officers at the federal level. And we also train at the state level probation officers just to understand autism and the issues that may come up during their work with them.
So it sounds like you train people from all facets of the criminal justice system.
Yes.
Have you ever testified in court before?
Yes.
Both civil and criminal?
No, mostly criminal.
Have you testified in both state and federal courts?
Yes.
And have you testified for both the state or for prosecuting and defense?
Yes.
What's that ratio? I mean, how often do you testify for the state versus the defense and vice versa?
I honestly don't keep track of that information, but I would estimate roughly about 50-50.
Whoever reaches out to you?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Imhoff, are you being paid for your time in this case?
Yes.
How much is your hourly rate?
My hourly rate is $450 an hour.
Do you have a partner that you will work with on cases such as this?
Yes.
Do you and your partner offer a rate that if you both work together?
Yes, we often work as a team. We take a team approach to our evaluations. So Dr. Spence has her rate, I have my rate. When we work together, we give kind of a discounted rate, which is about $600.
Do you know about how many hours you have put into this case?
I don't have an actual calculation of the hours. We did come do an evaluation, so we traveled one day. We were here on the ground 3 days. We traveled back another day. We did write a report in this case. My rough guess, probably I spent 15 hours working on that report. Obviously, our prep time and our travel here and our time here is being billed as well.
And Dr. Imhoff, you mentioned a report. Now, Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to hand you what has already been admitted into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit number 91. Is this the report that was prepared for this case?
Yes.
Dr. Imhoff, what were you asked to do in this case?
We were asked to confirm the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder.
How do you do that? I mean, give the jury a brief overview on your methodology and when conducting an evaluation such as this.
Well, usually we start by reviewing records. We're looking for any indication of behaviors related to autism, prior diagnoses, mental health treatment, that type of thing. So we ask for all the records available in discovery. We will then proceed to meet with the client. We will do an interview, collect our own information. Typically interviews are just more social history in these cases, looking at things like where did they grow up, a little bit about their family, school history, how they got along with people, work history, mental health treatment history, obviously, alcohol and drug use, if any. We will also do a mental status exam, which is really, for lack of a better description, like a mental health checkup. We kind of go through all the diagnostic categories and see if that person has ever had any problems with any of those mental health issues in their lifetime. Then we will also do testing, which helps us confirm the diagnosis.
Dr. Imhoff, I noticed on your report that you weren't the sole author of the report. Who else contributed to that report?
Dr. Spence, partner in my practice.
Why would you only write one report? Why not have your own reports for each of you?
Well, essentially, as I described, we work as a team approach, and we take the information. Dr. Spence has skill sets, I have skill sets. We kind of combine those skill sets and produce just one product.
You talked about reviewing records. Were you provided records in this particular case?
Yes.
Is a list of those records contained in the report that you prepared?
They would be in the appendix of the back of our report, yes.
Now, generally speaking, well, let me back up. Where did you get the records? Who provided those?
They would come from your office.
In the records that we provided to you, did that also contain discovery that was provided by the state of Texas?
Yes.
Did you receive and review reports from other experts in this case?
Yes.
And everything that you reviewed is in the report?
Yes.
Okay. Did you watch the video of the abduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that was relevant to what you did in this particular case?
We watched videos really looking for expressions of autism, symptoms of autism that may have come out during that presentation. It's often very helpful for us to see video of someone before we actually go meet with them to determine whether or not there's enough there to go forward with a full evaluation.
Based on what you saw, did you feel there was enough to go forward with a full evaluation?
Yes, from what we saw in the records and what we saw in the videos, yes.
You spoke earlier about doing clinical assessments. In doing a clinical assessment, do you rely solely upon the records provided to you?
No.
What else is involved?
As I mentioned previously, we do an interview with the individual. We will also do testing. We also do collateral interviews. Very helpful for us to have other people's perspectives about the individual.
Why is it important to have someone else's perspective?
Because we want to corroborate information. We want to corroborate things that they tell us. And historically, there may also be things, particularly with autism, that individual doesn't know that are critical for the diagnosis. So really, one of the things we have to determine is there developmental problems or delays early in life. So 1, 2, 3 years old. Obviously, the person we're interviewing will tell us that information. So those collateral sources, primary caregivers, those types of folks can provide that information to us.
Is it possible to do a comprehensive evaluation without speaking to collateral witnesses?
Not in my opinion, not in a case like this for autism.
You said that you meet with the individual. How many times did you meet with Tanner?
We meet with him on 2 occasions.
Do you know for about how long you met with Tanner?
The total duration was about 9.25 hours. We met with him across 2 days. I think the first day much longer. I think the second day we met with him maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Well, Dr. Imhoff, you said that you reviewed all of these records, that you spoke with Tanner, that you spoke with collateral witnesses. What is the goal of all of that? I mean, why is it important to review everything like that?
We are really just trying to get as much information as we can to support diagnoses, whether it's an autism diagnosis or some other mental health diagnoses. And we just take all that information in, and that helps us support a diagnosis.
Can that information also help you to rule out a diagnosis?
Yes.
How important is it to be able to rule out a diagnosis?
Well, I mean, obviously, many presentations can appear the same, so we want to make sure that we have the information that's going to kind of help us understand which one it is. So we want to rule out diagnoses for that purpose.
I want to focus a little bit on the testing that you did in this case. And again, are the tests that you performed listed in the report that you provided?
Yes, ma'am.
The testing that you did, was that related specifically to diagnosing autism?
Yes.
Are there tests that are related to diagnosing autism that are considered to be the gold standard of autism testing?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are those?
Predominantly ADOS, the Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule, now in its second revision. There's another tool. Let me back up. The ADOS is a tool that's actually administered to the individual that we're assessing. There's another tool that we use called the ADIR, the Autism Diagnostic Interview Revised. This is a semi-structured interview that's done with a primary caregiver, because that's one of the tools that kind of helps us go back and look at early developmental criteria and symptoms and expressions of autism. So those two kind of combined together are considered to be the gold standard in our field.
And Dr. Imhoff, did the results of the ADIR and the ADOS reveal anything significant to you?
Yes.
And what is that?
Tanner would, on both tools, met the clinical cut score for diagnosis of autism.
What do you mean clinical cut score?
So we're collecting a lot of information, and then we go through and code that information in certain areas. So we're looking at things like social and emotional reciprocity, which is part of autism. We're looking at communication differences, which is another component of autism. And then we're looking at repetitive and restricted interests and behaviors, which is another kind of common presentation of autism. So we go through and we're looking for all these things during the interviews. We're looking for all these things during the interviews with the collateral witnesses. And then we go through and we code them. And you have to have so many, so many of the items to reach a clinical cut score, clinical diagnosis, so to speak.
In addition to doing the ADIR and the ADOS, are there any other tests that you perform that can confirm the results of those previous tests?
One of the things that we prefer to do is use a tool called the SRS-2, or the Social Responsiveness Scale. This is a tool that looks at social awareness, so being able to go into a room, pick up on nonverbal cues, kind of the buzz in the room, understand, read the room. Comprehension, so being able to take that information, process it, and then response. So once I have that information, how do I then respond to people in the room? How do I communicate with them? There's also a scale on there for social motivation, as well as restricted and repetitive interest and behavior. And it's a tool that's highly correlated with diagnosis of autism. So we use that in addition to kind of support the diagnosis.
I noted in your report that you have given something called the ABAS.
Yes.
What is that?
So the ABAS is the Adaptive Behavior Assessment System, now in its third revision. The ABAS is a tool that looks at functionality. So it's one thing to have a diagnosis, but everybody's different, and that's the really important thing to understand. So everybody with autism is not the same. They have impairments, or they have strengths in certain areas, they have weaknesses in certain areas. So the ABAS kind of helps us pull that out. So it's really a measure of functionality. It looks at things like social motivation, so social engagement. It looks at just kind of practical skills, like being able to use functional academics, like balance a checkbook, use math. It looks at things like work and ability to work and hold down a job, those types of things. So we use that to kind of help us understand where the deficits may lie.
Dr. Imhoff, so the ADIR and the ADOS are tools to diagnose autism.
Sure.
The SRS confirms the diagnosis, and then the ADAS talks about how that diagnosis affects the subject.
Yes,
Okay.
in a nutshell, that's correct.
Based upon the results of the testing and the observations and the records that you reviewed, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, did Tanner Horner meet the criteria for autism spectrum disorder as outlined by the DSM?
Yes.
Did you also evaluate Tanner for post-traumatic stress or any other symptoms related to traumatic events?
We do. Often, and just from our experience, from our training, we know that individuals on the spectrum often experience a lot of trauma in their lives, just because people on the spectrum present different. So often in school, obviously, kids don't like other kids who are different, so they tend to pick on the bully, which is a type of trauma. But also in the records, there was multiple indications of traumatic events and trauma throughout Tanner's life. So we felt that important to capture as well. So we use a tool called the TSI, the Trauma Symptom Inventory 2. It was designed to measure PTSD, but it also provides very helpful information about trauma and the impact of that trauma on the individual. And specifically for our individuals on the spectrum, there's scales in there related to insecure attachments, impaired self-reference, so not having a good idea of sense of self, who one is, and how that often is taken advantage of by others. So we tend to look at that as well.
What did that test reveal to you about Tanner Horner?
What that test revealed was a lot of significant trauma in his life. He reported symptoms of flashbacks, nightmares, those types of things related to traumatic events in his life. He reported high levels of anxiety on that tool as well. Not just anxiety, but also hypervigilance, which is always kind of being on guard and being very vigilant of your surroundings. But also depression was also another area that he elevated, anger, frustration, which is common among individuals with autism. And also, in dealing with high levels of anxiety and the difficulties that Tanner dealt with, how he would deal with those. So there's different ways people deal with stress and trauma. One way is to kind of just, I'm not going to think about dissociation. There's, another form of dissociation, which is kind of checking out, just kind of zoning out and checking out and spacing out. Or tension-reducing behaviors, which can be directed towards the environment, can be directed towards oneself. So when people experience high levels of anxiety or stress, they tend to act out to reduce or relieve that tension and stress. And we can see this in multiple ways throughout Tanner's life. A lot of suicide attempts, a lot of self-harm, and those types of things.
Dr. Imhoff, with regards to the TSI, are there any validity scales associated with that test?
Yes, there are.
What is the validity scale?
So there's one called the ATR, atypical response, and one called RL, which is response level. So what these scales do is they look at over-reporting or under-reporting. So someone who wants to over-report to look particularly mentally ill or having particularly high levels of PTSD or stress or anxiety. And then there's other individuals who just want to kind of pretend there's not problems, kind of minimize their problems, so under-reporting, as we call it. Tanner produced with and normal limits profiles on both of them. So he wasn't over or under-reporting. He was just being open, honest, and candid in his reporting.
So based upon the TSI and the validity scales, was there any indication of malingering?
No, not on that tool.
On any of the tools that you had given him, was there any indication of malingering?
The other tools really don't have validity scales built into them.
Based upon your interview and review of the records and the evaluation of Tanner, did you arrive at any formal diagnoses other than the autism spectrum disorder that you mentioned earlier?
I also diagnosed Tanner with bipolar 1 disorder. Most recent episode, depressed. I think medications have been helpful in stabilizing his mood somewhat by his report. So that's indicated in the diagnosis as well. And I also diagnosed him with generalized anxiety disorder. It's really based on everything that we saw in the records, behaviors that we observed in him, and the results of the testing.
And lastly, Dr. Antoff, based upon the records, the 9 hours that you spent with Tanner and the review of all of the evidence in the case and the interviews with the collateral witnesses, were you able to determine if Tanner met the criteria for antisocial personality disorder as set forth in the DSM?
I did not diagnose him with antisocial personality disorder. No.
Why not?
He didn't meet the criteria.
I'll have to witness on.
Cross-examination. Mr. Amroth, let me ask you a couple of questions. You note on the first page of your report that he was provided with some documents that he signed before he was interviewed by your team. Is that okay if I call it your team? That it be you and Dr. Spence? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Okay. You use the word teamwork. So
It is a team approach, yes.
All right, I'm going to use that. You said he reviewed some documents and signed some things before you interviewed him. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And at any point, did he have any problem understanding what you were explaining to him about those particular documents and what he was signing?
No.
And so you felt comfortable with regard to, for example, his intelligence, his ability to understand things at that point to be able to go ahead and interview him?
Yes, he has an average IQ.
All right. But he didn't have any dramatic problems understanding the forms and warnings and all the stuff that you gave him?
No, we explained it to him in great detail.
All right. And during the interview, I think that you guys took notes during the interview, right? And I think we've been given a copy of your notes. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. Let's talk just a little bit here. I want to clarify this. It seems to me you've got about, 30, 40 hours into this case. Is that right?
I would say that's probably fair, maybe an underestimate.
Okay. So 50?
I haven't added it up, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Well, if we said 40, you would say that's an underrepresentation.
Possibly. I mean, there was obviously time spent preparing for testimony, travel here, time here. So.
Of course. All right. Now, some of the things I wanted to ask you about is that I got what appears, and I'm going to show this to you. I have 3 sets of notes here. Is that your understanding that there were 3 sets of notes that were provided?
I only have 1 set of notes. I don't know what Dr. Spence would have provided.
Okay. Do you mind if I show you what was provided? So you tell me which ones are yours and which ones are
Sure.
ours?
Mine are going to be the ones with interview notes written across it.
This is you? Where it says interview notes?
Yes, that's mine.
So do you have any awareness of what Dr. Spence put in her notes, or do I need to ask her about that?
I didn't read her notes, no.
Okay. No. So we'll stick to yours that has the watermark on it. All right, certainly. So during this process, these tests that you give, and they have a lot of acronyms or abbreviations on them. I'm not going to get into that. But were any of these tests that were done, that were things that were self-reported by Mr. Horner?
So the ADOS would be self-report. We're asking him questions. We're engaging him in a different number of activities. But a lot of that is also we're observing him and what he's doing and how he's interacting with us. The SRS would have been self-reported by him, and the ADAS would have been self-reported by him, as well as the TSI.
Okay. So those 4 tests, you're relying, at least in some part, on the accuracy and the truthfulness of what he's telling you. Is that right?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that his truthfulness is important in answering those questions for you to make a reliable diagnosis. Is that right? Right?
Yes. Yes.
We're talking over each other a little bit. I'm sorry.
It's helpful, but we also had collateral information. We also had records which corroborated a lot of what he said. So.
Of course. But again, like anything else, it's a multi-part approach, right?
Yes, we're looking at the issue from several different angles or sources of information, if you will.
Right. And so when you're talking about that and you're taking notes, you said that you watched the video in this case. Is that right? How many videos did you watch in this case?
There, I believe, were 2 interrogation videos with law enforcement, and the one which has been referred to as the abduction video.
Okay. And you felt that that was relevant to your assessment in this case?
Yes.
Okay. So just give me the highlights here. You watched all these videos. What do you think is displaying Mr. Horner's autism in these videos?
So one of the reasons we watched the interrogation videos is it had to do with this reference to zero and the possibility of multiple personality disorders. And I was interested in seeing his presentation at those times. There were some indications in the abduction video of levels of anxiety, increase in anxiety, difficulties with change. Individuals on the spectrum have a lot of difficulty with changes in routines and those kinds of things. There was what appeared to be, to me, stimming behavior, which stimming behavior, when people on the spectrum get anxious, they engage in some kind of repetitive motor activity. Most people, when I talk about autism, think about the hand flapping, which is kind of classic. But there's also other stimming behavior, like some of our individuals we work with will touch their fingers to their fingertips, or they'll wring their hands in certain ways, or they'll arch their backs. So these are all kind of different stimming behaviors.
Right. And you said you observed some anxiety.
It appeared that he was very anxious in parts of the video that we watched.
You'd agree with me, if you just kidnapped a child, you'd probably be a little anxious, wouldn't you?
Well, that was actually prior to the abduction portion.
Okay. Did you talk to him about what he was doing in those videos? Did you have any discussion with him?
We did not talk to him about facts of the case.
Okay. But you watched the audio and you made some assessments from it, but you didn't talk to him about it.
Videos, no.
You didn't feel like that was important as part of what you were doing here?
Well,
talk to him about it?
Actually, we did talk to him a little bit about zero, the ultimate identity. I did ask him some questions about that.
But ultimately, you concluded zero's not a multiple personality at all.
In my opinion, he would not qualify for multiple personality disorder.
Right. And so as part of this, you also said, and I want to get this right here, you asked him about his substance abuse?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. I think you have kind of a litany of questions that you ask him about his substance abuse. I think it's like hallucinogens, marijuana, cocaine, crack, things like that, right?
Yeah, different categories of substances, yes.
And do you remember what his responses were to you and what you put in your report on those particular questions?
Well, off the top of my head,
I'm going to interrupt you. Let's do this. Let me just take you right to that part of your
Okay.
report, and that way we won't have to do it all the time. Can you go to page 9 of your report, sir?
yes, sir.
Thank you. And I'm just gonna pick it out here a little bit, just kind of yes, no, a little bit here. I just want to make sure I'm correct here.
Sure.
It says that he used powdered cocaine at the age of 30, and his consumption was once per month and 2 times per month. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he said it varied between once per month or twice per month.
He didn't tell you he was using any cocaine on the day of the offense?
We didn't ask him about the day of the offense.
He didn't tell you he was using any on the day of the offense?
He didn't offer that information.
Okay. And then the second part of that, it's got, I would characterize that as psychedelics, LSD, acid, things like that. Is that the second part of that?
Psychedelic mushrooms, LSD, yes.
Okay,
Ecstasy,
and he says that sporadically.
Yes.
And then it says denied the use of crack and so on and so forth. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, on these tests, Doctor, we talked a little bit about, you said 4 of the tests that you gave at least required some portion of answers and reporting by Mr. Horner himself.
Yes, 4 of them would have, yes.
And I don't think you only gave, 5 or 6 tests total?
Given to Mr. Horner?
Yeah.
So he would have received the ADOS, the SRS, the ADAS, and the TSA.
So all 4 of the tests that you gave him required some information for you to complete the test directly from Mr. Horner.
Yes. I don't know that I classified that. Some are just self-report forms where he fills them out himself.
Okay, so
It wasn't interactive.
let me just make this a general thing. You have to get something from him.
Yes.
Okay. And in this case, sir, you're aware that, from reading all this stuff, that Mr. Horner has had a pretty serious propensity for telling falsehoods and making up different stories. You're aware of that, right?
Objection, Your Honor, to the characterization.
Just saying, rephrase your question. Are you aware that Mr. Horner has told untruth with regard to the facts of this case?
I'm aware that Mr. Tanner has told different stories to different people.
And were you aware of that coming in before you did these tests where he required him to have self-reporting?
Think about that for a moment. I would believe so. I don't recall specifically.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm sorry.
Well, you reviewed an extensive amount of records according to your affidavit, is that right?
Yes.
And you reviewed the other expert reports in this case, did you not?
Yes, those would have come after you saw him. Yes.
Right. And so you're aware that at least as to his initial story in this case as to what he did, that's untrue.
I am aware that there have been multiple stories in reference to what actually transpired by him.
So knowing that, going into that, how can you place any faith on what he's telling you is accurate and true if you know coming in that he's not been truthful in the past?
Well, as I mentioned previously, one of the tools that we use has validity scales in it, so it looks for over-reporting, under-reporting, that type of thing. We also had corroborating information. That's why we did collateral interviews with other individuals. We had school records. We had records from mental health treatment facilities. So through that, we were able to identify consistent information.
But things like things that he reported to you about his feelings, things that he reported to you about how he relates to other people, things of that nature, that would come solely from Mr. Horn, correct?
From his perspective, yes, but also, as part of the ADIR, we are asking primary caregivers, how did he relate to other children his age? Did he play with them? Did he seem to get along with them? Did he seem to understand rules of the games, follow the rules of the games, all those types of things that engage social interaction. We also, there's questions in there about, is he able to describe his feelings to you? Did he seem to have one expression all the time for one, just one expression all the time, or does his expression vary depending on the situation? So there's a lot of corroborating information.
I guess what I'm getting at, Doctor, you're telling us you believe what he was saying.
I believe that the tests are valid, yes, because actually two of the tests, the SRS and the ABAS, were also completed by his maternal grandmother with very similar scores.
And I'm going to ask you this the last thing. So your notes in here have the watermark on it?
Yes, sir.
And I just want to clarify this with you. Dr. Spence's notes are the ones that are like that? They just have the print on them and no watermark?
Yes, my notes would have the watermark. You'll have to confirm with Dr. Spence. Those are
Well, let me ask you this. There were only two people involved in providing notes in this
I would
case?
assume they're Dr. Spence. I can't really see them. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If we got two, perfect deal. If we got two and yours had the watermark on, you would agree with me?
I'm sorry. Mine would be the one with the watermark, yes.
And Dr. Spence?
I would assume not.
That's a witness. Read correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Dr. Imhoff, you reviewed a lot of records in this case.
Yes.
Did the school records that were provided to you, prepared by providers at the school, corroborate your findings on these tests?
Yes. I mean, there were diagnoses of autism in those records. There were descriptions of behavior consistent with autism in those records. Absolutely.
So the records that you reviewed dating back 20, 25 years, were there any inconsistencies with that diagnosis?
I'm not sure I
Let
understand.
me rephrase that. You looked at records that go back 20, 25 years. Was the diagnosis consistent?
Yes.
The prosecutor asked you about whether or not you felt Tanner understood documents that he was signing. Were you testing for intellectual disability?
No, we didn't do any testing for intellectual disability.
May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. State? Nothing further on.
May Dr. Imhoff be excused?
No objection.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can see, you can stay. If you'd like to sit in, you're welcome to stay.
Okay, thanks.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Good morning.
If you'll go ahead and introduce yourself to the jury.
Hi, I'm Spence.
And you're also very soft-spoken, if you hold the microphone up to you just a little bit. That would be
I'll do my best. Is that better?
Dr. Spence, I'm going to hand you what has already been offered in evidence as defendant's exhibit number 92. If you'll just take a gander at that for a moment. And what do you recognize defendant's exhibit number 92 to be?
That's my curriculum vitae.
And what is a curriculum vitae?
A curriculum vitae includes the job that you do, the jobs you've previously done. It includes your schooling. It includes any committees that you're on. It includes your experience. And in my case, I do a lot of training, so it lists all the trainings that I provide on a regular basis.
And Dr. Spence, what do you do for a living?
So currently, I'm the clinical director of Autism Support Services for Specialized Treatment and Assessment Resources, which is a private forensic practice. I've been in that capacity for about 8 years. Prior to that, I worked for the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities at the University of Central Florida. And I do still work for them part-time, but in the 20 years that I worked for the center full-time, I worked with people with autism from birth to death. I worked directly with families. I provided training. I trained law enforcement on how to recognize autism. And prior to that, I was a teacher.
Tell the jury about your educational background.
My undergraduate degree is in secondary English language arts, so I was an English teacher. I then went back to school and I earned a master's degree in special education in Florida. It's called Varying Exceptionalities. And then I went back to pursue my PhD, which is in personnel prep with a specialized focus on autism and preparing educators, psychologists, or professionals on how to transition students out of school at any level into the community.
You had mentioned specialized treatment assessment resources. What do you do for, is that also known as STAR?
STAR.
What do you do for STAR?
So I, with my partner who testified earlier, we conduct assessments. We do those sometimes together. I also do work on my own, which would be consulting for a variety of people, which could be public defenders, could be prosecutors, could be the court. I do a lot of education for the court. And I do a lot of training across the United States addressing autism, what it is. I do a lot of work with federal probation and parole, how to support individuals who come into contact with law enforcement and to support those who may be rendering them supports and or monitoring them in the community.
Now, Dr. Spence, you also mentioned the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities. What is that?
In the state of Florida, the Centers for Autism and Related Disabilities are technical assistance centers. They are state funded. There are 9 centers across the state, and they work primarily in concert with communities in wide areas, depending on where you are. And they provide training. They work directly with families. Again, people who, from birth to death, who have autism. They do a lot of training. Primarily, that's what I do in my part-time capacity. I train law enforcement. And they also do public-based work, so this would be community-based events, so to bring people together in communities who have autism, or if there's awareness that may be needed or necessary to support an individual.
Now, Dr. Spence, do you hold any faculty positions anywhere?
I'm currently, I've been an adjunct instructor at the University of Central Florida for about 20 years. I taught in both the College of Education and in the Communication and Sciences, which is essentially the college that supports speech and language pathologists and occupational therapists.
Have you been published?
Yes, I have.
And typically when you write articles and book chapters and whatnot, what is your area of focus?
Most of my publications have to do with transitioning individuals, so helping individuals transition from high school into adult life who have autism, so supporting the family, the individual, and seeking community-based resources, and the best way to do that.
Have you ever been on the editorial review board of any publication?
Yes, I spent 17 years as on the review board for the Journal of Vocational Rehabilitation, which is a peer-reviewed journal in the field of special education and working with individuals who have disabilities who are seeking employment. And for the last 10 years, I've been on the consultative editorial board for the Journal of Intellectual Disabilities, which is both our peer-reviewed journals in the field, supporting primarily individuals with developmental disabilities.
And Dr. Spence, are all of your publications listed in your CD that has been offered as Defendant's Exhibit 91?
Yes, they are.
Throughout your career, how long would you say that you have been working with people diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders?
Since 1993. I started my career teaching in a psychiatric facility, and I went on from there to become a public school teacher. I taught both regular ed and special ed, and in 1999 I went to work for the Center for Autism and Related Disabilities.
Have you ever testified in court before?
Yes, I have.
in both state and federal,
Yes,
for both the defense and prosecution?
yes.
About how many times do you testify for each side? What's the ratio there?
I don't keep track. I'd say probably 60% defense and 40% prosecution.
And Dr. Spence, are you being paid for your work in this case?
Yes.
What were you asked to do for the defense in this case?
In this case, we were asked to, I was asked specifically to review educational records, social security records, and historical records for Mr. Horner, and my partner and I were asked to render an autism spectrum disorders evaluation.
Give the jury just a brief overview of your methodology in conducting an evaluation such as this.
So, as my partner testified, in general, we receive records. We receive records for a variety of reasons. We want to see if the person has any other diagnoses, if they have other mental health conditions that may affect how we're looking at them or what we're using to test them. We also do collateral witness interviews, so that's with family members, that's with educational staff. So the records, those, and then individual testing, that's considered appropriate and or best practice for that client based on what we're looking for.
Dr. Spence, were you in the courtroom when Dr. Imhoff testified?
Yes, I was.
Did you hear him talk about all the records that y'all had received and reviewed?
Yes, I did.
Did you receive and review the same records?
I did.
Were you present during the testing that Dr. Imhoff conducted?
Yes, I was.
Were you an active participant in the testing, or were you just an observer?
I was an active participant in the testing.
Now, have you reviewed the results of the testing that you and Dr. Imhoff have, that y'all administered?
Yes.
Do you believe that, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that Tanner Horner meets the criteria for autism spectrum disorder?
Yes.
I want to talk to you a little bit about autism, okay? Are there different levels of autism?
Yes.
And what are those levels?
So currently, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders, so the DSM-5, which I'm sure you've heard quite a bit about during these proceedings, there's under autism spectrum disorders, there's discernment for level 1, level 2, and level 3. And so essentially what this is differentiating are the types of supports that the individual needs. So as the diagnostician, you're looking at criteria. Do they meet the criteria of being autistic or having autism? Dr. Imhoff talked about rising to the clinical level on the test based on observation, based on historical data. The level 1, level 2, and level 3 is a reference to how many supports that individual needs to communicate with others, to socialize with others. Some clients have very significant, what are referred to as restricted and repetitive patterns of behaviors, meaning they get overly focused on something. So how much support do they need to maybe move away from that or to not be perseverative about it? And so when you're doing the evaluation, you make a discrimination. Is this person only needing communicative support, or are they only needing a little social and communicative support? So that would be a level 1, or are we looking at somebody, level 3 would be probably nonverbal, needing significant supports to function in the community, either traversing the community or getting assistance.
Is level 1 autism still autism?
Yes, absolutely.
And when you have these people who are on level 1, do they still have deficit?
Yeah, absolutely. So by definition, you have autism with each of these levels. So meeting the criteria means you definitively, there are certain things you have to have. So under criterion A, problems with reciprocity, problems not understanding nonverbal social cues, difficulty with relationships and friendships. And then under criterion B, there's a variety of things. So you have all those things. But the way that it looks in somebody who has level 1 and the way that it looks in somebody that has level 3, it looks different. And so I think about this like looking at Swiss cheese, let's say, okay? I have 2 blocks of Swiss cheese, but the holes are different, okay? They're the same, but the holes are different. So the way they're going to experience things, the levels of help that they need is going to be different.
And Dr. Spence, one of our other witnesses had said that there's a saying in autism circles that if you've met an autistic person, you've met an autistic person.
So that's a quote that's attributed to Dr. Stephen Shore, who is a person with autism, and yes, it's very true in that I've worked with thousands of people that have autism, that they each have a unique presentation.
So do all people with autism, do they all share common characteristics?
Yeah, by virtue of having the diagnosis, again, we would expect to see difficulty with reciprocity, problems with not understanding, not picking up on nonverbal social cues, difficulty on the whole in relationships, and then we see rigidity, need for sameness, structure, wanting to be scheduled, and then, as I mentioned, sometimes overfixation or repetitive behavior that's surrounding an object or an item.
Now, during your evaluation of Tanner, did you observe any of those symptoms that you just related, the rigidity, the need for structure, things of that nature?
Yes.
What did you observe?
I remember during the first day, Mr. Horner, based on the records, likes structure, likes to know what's going to happen, and likes a routine. And so during the evaluation, he became very focused on when his medication was going to come, and to the point where I finally got up and went and asked one of the guards because it didn't come at a certain time, and he reported to us it really bothered him when the meds did not come at a certain time. Though he knew they were coming, again, this would be kind of a common symptom that we see.
I want to get back to some of the common issues or some of the symptoms that we deal with in persons with autism. You had talked about getting services and about transitioning from high school to adulthood. How important is it to assist a student with autism transitioning to adulthood?
It's critically important.
Why is that?
If an individual who's exiting school, finishing high school, is not properly prepared, they often end up not working, they often end up not going on for additional education if they've not been adequately prepared to transition out of high school. And if, depending on the kinds of, most of my clients and many people that have autism have co-occurring conditions. The two most common are depression and anxiety. So those also need to be supported. So depending on the way the client's presenting, we need to think about how able they are to live on their own, how able they are to secure medications, how able they are to secure employment. And there needs to be a good solid plan for that, supports for that. And for many of my clients, they need support well into adulthood to be successful.
You mentioned co-occurring and comorbidities. Anxiety and depression, how does that affect how does all that work together, the autism, the anxiety, the depression?
Can you be more specific in your question?
I'll try to ask a better one. You would talk about comorbidity. I mean, what is that? And why is it important to understand?
So comorbidity means, so if you have a person and they have a diagnosis of autism, comorbidity means the depression is another standalone diagnosis, meaning that their symptoms rise to a clinical level of recognition. Same with anxiety. So independent of the autism, they also have these conditions. I think that's what you're
asking. That's what I was trying to ask.
Yes, it is.
What can we do to help transition students with autism into adulthood?
Well, there's a lot we can do. I mean, we look individually at the needs of the individuals, but for individuals who have complex behavioral histories, we look at applied behavioral analysis. For individuals who are having difficulty with depression, we want to make sure they're being adequately treated, if that be medication, if that be therapeutic intervention. So really individually looking at the client and what they need is critically important. And again, when we have an individual that has multiple things happening, most of my clients have multiple co-occurring conditions. ADHD, some have OCD, all of those need to be thought about in terms of what kinds of supports you need and how also to kind of maintain those. So once you move away from parental or caregiver managing that you're able to actually manage that. And that's very important.
Dr. Spence, based upon the records that you reviewed, were you able to determine whether or not Tanner received services during school?
Yes, he did.
And were these the type of things let me back up. Were the services that he received in school the type of services that might help him cope while in school?
Yes.
Are those the type of services that might help him, I guess, for lack of better words, navigate life as an adult?
I think some of the things that were being worked on, particularly with the in-home trainer, would be things that, had they continued to be provided, would have been helpful during the transition period into adulthood.
Was there any indication that services were provided in any form or fashion after he graduated from high school?
Not that I saw.
So what happens if the training that he learned in high school isn't reinforced by the additional services after school?
for most people, it's quite unlikely that it will carry over, or what we call generalized. So people with autism have a difficult time generalizing. So if I teach you a certain skill in a certain environment, they often have difficulty taking that skill and then applying it to a new environment. So if there had not been some either method, instruction, or targeted intervention that was going to continue to teach those skills that would be needed, it'd be very unlikely for somebody to maintain those on their own.
Dr. Stuntz, I want to shift your attention to the Social Security records that have been offered into evidence in this case. In order to receive a disability benefit, must you have a diagnosis?
For Social Security, yes, a qualifying diagnosis.
If you have a diagnosis, does that automatically mean that you are disabled?
By the measure of Social Security?
Yes.
So you have to have a qualifying diagnosis, and you, according to the agency, then there would be certain demarcations of behavioral output or symptoms you're experiencing, and determinations are made based on the either presence of significant symptoms or the lack thereof.
Did you review the Social Security records that were provided in this case?
Yes, we do.
And based upon your review of the records, were you able to determine if Tanner was receiving benefits as a juvenile?
Yes, I believe he began receiving SSI income at the age of 10. He was identified as a disabled child at 10.
And based upon your experience with helping other autistic juveniles obtain benefits, does the Social Security office, do they hand it out, or do they need some sort of documentation?
But they absolutely need documentation.
I want to jump forward to when Tanner was 18 and he went in for a disability determination decision. What does that mean? What is that?
Sure. So the Social Security Administration essentially has kind of two operating bodies. So you've got 18 and prior to 18, and then you've got 18 and older. So for children who are identified and diagnosed, it's, I don't want to say simple, but it's quite easy to get services, especially if there's a behavioral component or difficulty in multiple settings, which was certainly the case for Mr. Horner. Once a person turns 18, the criteria by which the Social Security Administration uses to measure how disabled you are changes. Okay? So as you get older, there's going to be decisions about how able you might be able to work. How able are you going to be able to live on your own? How able are you going to be able to function? So there's kind of two different ways that is looked at. And in that determination, usually you meet with an individual meets with an evaluator who does an interview, may do some testing, and then they will pass along their recommendations to the Social Security Administration, who then determines whether or not the individual meets the criteria to continue to receive Social Security income benefits.
Now, you said that the determination for a juvenile is a little more lax than as an adult. Even as a child, will you be required, or will that child be required to have a disabling diagnosis?
Yes.
Now, based upon your review of the records that were offered by the state, were Tanner's benefits terminated when he turned 18?
Yes.
And was that because he no longer met the criteria?
He no longer met the criteria according to the Social Security Administration's criteria.
So does that mean that Tanner no longer had autism?
No.
Did you review the evaluation that was done in that case?
Yes. By Dr. Please?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think that was a good assessment for determining disability?
No, I do not.
Why not?
You had an 18-year-old male who was driven to the interview by his grandmother. You had a young man who had a reported history, had been receiving for 7 years benefits based on that disabling condition, who reported that both of his parents were incarcerated. The interviewer described him as disheveled and not a good historian. And so really, in my opinion, what should have happened, and what in most cases would happen, would be you would then ask a collateral witness, you would ask a caregiver, and then they could have been afforded records from special education, which were readily available, his mental health records, which were readily available, or the recording of his paternal grandmother, who was taking care of him, because neither of his parents were available to take care of him, how able he was to do things.
Dr. Spence, I want to move on to the records that you reviewed related to the offense in this case. Did you review the video of this incident?
Yes.
And did you talk to Tanner about the facts of the case?
No.
Why not?
We were asked to do an autism evaluation.
And do the facts of the case affect your opinion on whether he does or does not have autism?
No.
So was it relevant to what you were asked to do?
Reviewing all the materials?
Reviewing specifically the facts of the incident.
They're not necessary, but obviously if we're making sure that we're only looking at autism and there's nothing else for that reason.
Now, Tanner has multiple pervasive conditions. Now, we're talking about autism, depression, anxiety, lead exposure, FASD,
Did y'all object as a meeting?
Go ahead, ask your question.
communications disorders, and structural brain abnormalities. So even though you didn't review the evidence related to the offense, and even though you didn't talk to Tanner about the facts of the case, can you opine on whether any of these conditions caused him to commit the offense on November the 30th of 2022?
No.
Is that what you're here to do?
No.
You're not here to say that autism caused him to do this?
Absolutely not.
You're not here to say that fetal alcohol syndrome disorder caused him to do this?
No.
But my question is, is it possible that these conditions influenced his behavior on that day or the days leading up to that event?
Certainly.
And can these conditions influence his behavior after the event, after his arrest?
Yes.
And can these conditions influence his behavior going forward once he goes to prison?
Yes.
And lastly, Dr. Smith, I want to talk to you about Tanner. Now, based upon your 30 plus years in working with people with autism, do most of them know that they're a little different?
In my experience, yes, they do.
And based upon your interactions with Tanner, did he know that he was a little different?
Yes, he reported that to us.
Now, even though Tanner has had these conditions that we just talked about, has he been able to behave himself in jail?
That's been reported to us, yes.
You talked earlier about that people on the autism spectrum like structure and routine. Did you find that to be the case with Tanner?
Oh, definitely.
Why do you say that?
He reported the things that he does during the day, which is actually one of the questions that's asked during the ADOS, that he likes knowing what comes next, he likes knowing what the routine is, he likes knowing what to expect, he likes maintaining a schedule as much as he can.
Change happens. Did you agree with that?
Of course.
And change happens that is not within the control of, not within our own personal control. Now, can we control what other people do?
No.
Can we control what other organizations do?
No.
So it's been suggested that any change in routine will always result in a meltdown, which could devolve into violence. Has this been your experience in dealing with autistic clients for over the past 30 years?
No.
And based upon your evaluation and your interviews and your observations, how well has Tanner adjusted to life in jail?
By all accounts, he seems to be doing well.
Do you have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll have to let this on.
Cross-examination.
Sam, you just answered a question about autistic people in general resulting in violence. Is that what your testimony is? They don't generally do that, do they? Autistic people.
I'm sorry,
They don't generally have a meltdown and resort to violence, do they?
The proportionate rate would be a low percentage, yes.
Right. When you were asked that question, I think it's more of a question of, do they have a propensity for violence? You would agree that autistic people do not have a propensity for violence.
Some.
Right. But in this case, that this particular case, this particular person you're saying is autistic did indeed resort to high-order violence, correct?
Yes.
And sexual assault.
Yes.
And you listen to the audio.
I saw audio, I believe there's 4 or 5 tapes, so I saw just after she was abducted and the camera was covered, but I have read the entire transcript of the full audio.
Some of the questions, I'm not going to repeat questions I've asked Dr. Imhoff as far as truthfulness and trustworthiness, but you'll agree with me that you realized coming into this that Mr. Horner had not been truthful about many aspects of what happened in this case.
Yes.
Did you inquire about that or challenge him on those at any point?
We didn't ask him anything about the case.
You didn't ask him about his truthfulness or anything else in the case?
No.
But you were relying, at least at some portion, on what he was telling you to fill out this, make up this report, were you not?
Yes.
But you didn't really know what he was telling you then was true or false.
Well, we had additional information from collateral witnesses, from family members, and existing data to rely upon, which corroborated his answers to us.
So let me just ask you this. Do you have your notes in front of you? And man, your notes weren't titled, so I'm going to try to direct you to where I want to go.
Yeah, you may have to show them. You may have to show them to me. I don't know if I brought my notes.
Okay.
I had them. There would have been 2 files, so mine were day 1, day 2.
I've got a little highlight on mine. Is that going to be
That's
okay?
fine.
Good, if I may. Absolutely. That appears to be your notes.
Yes.
That's my highlighting that you just ran.
Yeah, absent your edition.
Okay, thank you. So in the report here, in your notes, this would be what Mr. Horner is telling you, correct?
I'm capturing as much information as I can. Yes.
So in your report, we just heard from Dr. Imhoff, and I'm just trying to clarify accuracy here. Mr. Horner reported cocaine 1 to 2 times per
Your Honor,
month.
if counsel could direct me to where he was referring.
That's on page, you've got page numbers here, I'll show you the page.
Do you have a timestamp? There are timestamps on there. Which day is that?
Not really dated or.
This one I think is from the 16th. Oh, that's the report one. This would be from the 16th.
This is 16th?
Yes.
Of
October. Because this is the from the 8th also, yes.
So back to my question here. When you're talking on page 9 of your report here, just for an example, you talk about him using cocaine you're asking that, right? It says 1 to 2 times per month. But your notes here say he started using it daily. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And then this report says that he denied using crack cocaine, but you say yes, he was using crack cocaine. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then with regard to hallucinogens, you say sporadically, correct? As a report?
Yeah.
But yet, is that right? Sorry, on page 9? Is that right?
Yes. That's
Sporadically?
correct.
But yet your notes reflect lots of ecstasy and lots of acid. Is that right?
That's correct.
So those don't match, do they?
They do not.
So is your report correct or are your notes correct?
Well, those are my notes, and the report is a collaboration between Dr. Imhoff and myself. So often he will write sections of the report, and I will write sections of the report. So that appears maybe to be more reflective of the data that he collected during the interview.
Y'all were sitting there together when all this was going on.
Yes.
So it would seem like y'all would collect the same data, wouldn't it?
Try very hard, yes.
Right. So but this is all information that Mr. Horner is reporting to you
Yes.
that you believe is accurate, is what you're telling me.
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. You talked a little about services and things, about people, and I'm going to kind of put this all together with the Social Security stuff here. You said the services provided allow them to transition from high school into adult life, and I think you said to be able to do things. Is that the word you used?
Are you referring to the Social Security records?
Well, I'm trying to get, you said that the services allow them, and I wasn't really clear what it allowed them to do transitioning from high school into adulthood.
Well, Social Security is, in specific to this, is Social Security income. So it's money that is provided for children to a designee. And once somebody is 18, if they continue to meet the requirement, then the money would be provided to them.
Let me stop you. I did not ask a very good question. Let me get back here to that. you said that they need support. These people that have been diagnosed with level 1 autism need support to transition from high school into adulthood.
Most people with autism need assistance in transitioning. Yes.
To allow them to do things in life.
Yes.
For example, things like have friends and a social life. That'd be something they need to have.
Sometimes, yes.
Maybe girlfriends or relationships.
Often.
What about work, being able to work and be able to earn income?
For many, yes, they need assistance.
And things like that. But what you're talking about there are all things that, according to your report, that Tanner Horner does already have and has reported to you that that is how his life is it not?
Well, for Mr. Horner, he had a very inconsistent ability to work. He had many jobs. I believe we have a list included in the report. He had great difficulty maintaining employment.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about this. Your report reflects that he had multiple friends that he commented about you in his report.
Yes.
And he commented to you about an extensive social life, did he not?
I wouldn't use the word extensive.
Well, I mean, let me just ask you, how many sexual partners did he say that he had?
I'd have to go back and look at those.
If I represented to you that he said it was 30, would that sound about right? So it sounds like he has a pretty active social life.
Depends on how you define social life.
Okay, I agree with that. But he had girlfriends at the time, according to him?
He did have girlfriends, yes.
And then also in addition to that, he admitted to you that he had, I guess, from your notes, I would say pretty extensive drug use and partying. Is that right?
I believe that's true, yes.
And on top of that, you know as well in here that you said he got additional services and had them available to treat whatever mental health conditions were existing at that time, correct?
At which time?
Throughout his life. You reviewed the MHMR records and other things, did you not?
So he had sporadic services throughout his life.
Right. Now, I want to talk about work. You said he had a lot of different jobs.
Yes.
And I'm going to guess you're attributing many different jobs to his autism. Is that what you're saying?
I think he had problems with employment that related to a variety of things.
Okay. But what you're talking about here, and we've heard evidence of this, he was fired from different jobs. He just walked out of different jobs, correct?
That's correct.
And that he was able to maintain employment for upwards of a year at least 2 different jobs, correct?
That sounds about right.
And that, including at the job that he was having currently at right now, when this crime occurred, November 30th, he was actively operating a FedEx truck, wasn't he?
Yes.
And that would require somebody to utilize a map or GPS, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would require somebody to communicate with people in the public.
Yes.
And I would say effectively communicate things of package delivery and whatever he's doing as part of his job, right?
It's pretty narrow, but yes.
Okay. But he'd be able to operate a motor vehicle?
Yes, a lot of people with autism drive.
Okay. I'm just going through that. So he was actively working and making money at the time of this offense, wasn't he?
Yes, that's correct.
So when you talk about that he needs support to living life, what you've told me here is it sounds like he's living the life just like everyone else who's living the life. Friends, social life, girlfriends, work, partying and drug use. Those all sound like things that everybody else does. Would you agree?
Yes.
Excuse me. Let me do it. The last thing I'm going to talk to you about is you made several comments about his ability to be in jail and not have any issues in jail. Right? That's what you said?
Yes, I answered questions for him.
But it's true that he's been in segregated custody the entire time, isn't that right?
That's my understanding.
So he didn't have access to other people to do things to.
He has been in segregation, yes, really correct.
Read, right?
I guess, Your Honor. Dr. Spence, the state has spent a few minutes talking to you about the strengths that Tanner may possess. Being able to drive a car, follow GPS, things like that. When we are dealing with people with neurodevelopmental disorders, as a clinician, as a psychologist, as a forensic person, do we focus on their strengths or do we focus on their deficits?
Their deficits.
Why is that important?
Because that's what we target for treatment.
So the fact that he can drive a car, does that mean he's not autistic?
No.
The fact that he was able to say hello and deliver a package, does that mean he's no longer on the spectrum? The fact that he was able to have a girlfriend, does that mean that he is not level 1?
No.
When you look at the deficits, what are the deficits that presented for Tanner?
For Mr. Murr specifically, he had a lot of difficulty with reciprocity. So reciprocity is something that if you are neurotypical, you're able to do without thinking. So when I arrived today and I began interacting with guards outside. I said, hey, how you doing? They responded back. We had a brief conversation, and then I knew the conversation was done. They knew it was done. And so people that have autism often will continue to talk to people. They'll talk over the top of people. They're unable to read the nonverbal social cues that the conversation is over or that it might be inappropriate to have it at all. So he had a lot of problems in engaging in appropriate reciprocity. He has substantial difficulty with nonverbal social cues, so things that we would look to in facial expression, in tone of voice, in an inference where we're trying to explain something, he really struggles with those. And while, as was pointed out, he did have friends, the healthiness of those friendships, the reasons for some of those friendships, I would certainly question, but I would say those are things that impacted him the most in interviewing, in records, and in the historical data.
And Dr. Spence, the state pointed out in your notes that, do you have a copy of your notes?
I don't believe I have a copy of them.
May I correct you, Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe this was the case that the prosecutor had mentioned, where you had noted at the bottom that there was lots of acid. Mm-hmm. Is acid a hallucinogen?
Yes.
I want to look at the rest of your notes. With regards to hallucinogens, well, let me back up. With regards to the acid, was there any documentation in your notes related to the time frame during which he was taking acid?
No.
Is there documentation in your notes with regards to the time frame during which he was taking hallucinogens?
Yes, in my notes it says hallucinogens, started using them in 2011 or 2012, sometimes once per week, and sometimes he go long periods without using substances, then once per week.
So is that really an inconsistency? Inconsistency, yes.
No.
The one thing that the state talked to you about was Tanner had been in segregated populations, so he didn't have access to others. He had access to you during your evaluation, did he not?
Yes.
Did he have access to Dr. Imhoff?
Yes.
Did he have access to the other experts who evaluated him?
Yes.
Did he have access to the guards on transport?
Yes.
Did he have access to the people who brought him his lunch?
Yes.
Did he have access to the people who brought him his medications?
Yes.
Did he have access to other people in the hall when you were with him waiting for transport?
I don't recollect.
But he had access to other people other than inmates.
Yes. Yes.
Did he attack any of those people?
Not to my knowledge.
I'll have the witness.
Mr. Staten?
No further.
May Dr. Spence be excused?
No objection.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you very much. Okay, we're going to break for lunch. It's on its way. It'll be here shortly, okay? So, see you in a little bit. All of the members of the jury see the witness? Okay, all right, very good. Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was organized when I sat down. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Okay. You a little nervous? A little bit.
And all of the members of the jury hear the witness? Okay, all right.
And if you'll just keep your voice up for us, that would be great, okay? Okay. Please introduce yourself to the jury. And we're just going to use first names.
Okay. Jacqueline.
And do you also go by Jackie?
Oh, yes.
Do,
Jackie,
is it okay if I call you Jackie?
please.
Okay. Well, Jackie, how do you know Tanner Horner?
He is my grandson.
Jackie, are you currently employed?
No.
When you were working, what were you doing?
Worked at Albertsons and a barber.
Now, I see that you were in a wheelchair. Are you medically disabled?
Yes, multiple sclerosis.
Do you have a disability status for your multiple sclerosis? Are you receiving Social Security
Oh,
benefits?
yes.
Jackie, I want to talk to you a little bit about your family. Do you have any siblings?
Yes.
How many did you have?
4 brothers and a sister.
Are they all still alive?
Just one.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
Is that Tanner's mom?
Yes.
How many grandchildren do you have?
2.
Jackie, I want to talk a little bit about your family and the way you grew up, okay?
Yes.
When you were growing up, was your father, was he verbally abusive to you or any of your siblings?
Yes.
How so?
He just always was. He's an alcoholic. And,
What would he do?
well, he just complained constantly. If he showed up for dinner, he would complain.
Would he ever yell at you?
Oh, yeah.
Would he ever call you names?
Yeah.
Would he do this in front of your family?
Oh, yeah.
Would he do this in front of other people?
No, sometimes he put on his act when we had family around or friends. He acted like he liked us.
But once those friends left,
Yeah.
did his true color show?
Yeah.
Was he ever physically abusive to you?
He was, but not as much me as it was my brothers.
Did you see him being abusive to your brothers?
Yes.
What would he do?
Well, he would just start, there was a lot of yelling. I mean, it's been a long time ago. I just know he would get that belt and just keep hitting him. Because he'd gone to the beach. And,
Was he supposed to go to the beach?
no,
Jackie, was there any sexual abuse in your home?
yes,
Were you the victim of abuse as a child?
yes.
And I don't want to go into any details of it, but how old were you when you were being abused?
Very little.
How often would this abuse occur?
Too often?
Is any time too often?
Yes.
How long did this go on?
For years that I could remember because, I never told my mother. And it's just something you didn't talk about. And you didn't talk about the alcoholism in my family.
And if you didn't talk about the alcoholism, were you going to talk about sexual abuse?
Oh, no.
Were you the only child in that household that was abused?
No, my sister as well.
Did you or your sister ever tell anybody what was going on?
No. Well, we told my mother once when we were about 12 and 13.
And how did that go?
She was mad. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
And did it stop after that?
Oh, yeah. It had been stopped by then. And
Jackie, did you ever get counseling to help you deal with what happened?
yes, I did.
And when you went to go see the doctor, were you diagnosed with anything? Do you have any mental health diagnosis?
Well, depression, some PTSD, which that's a thing that I didn't realize it was.
And do you still live with all of that?
Yeah, but I understand it more.
Jackie, I want to talk about your brothers and sisters for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Did any of your brothers and sisters suffer from any mental illness?
Yes,
Were there any suicide attempts amongst your siblings?
yes.
How many of your brothers and sisters were successful in killing themselves?
My sister and my youngest brother.
So that's 2 out of how many children?
6.
You mentioned alcoholism with your father. Did any of your siblings have any alcohol or substance abuse problems?
Yes.
What kind of,
Everybody had that problem.
everybody has that problem? What did you mean by everybody has that problem?
The alcoholism.
And what about the substance abuse?
Yeah, that too.
And Jackie, how far did you go in school?
10th grade.
Or why'd you drop out?
I was pregnant.
And how old were you at the time?
15.
And who were you pregnant with?
Melissa.
And any time did you go back and get your GED?
I did.
And why'd you go get your GED?
Because I dropped out so early, and back then people had said, well, if you don't get your GED, it'd be hard for me to get a job. And I had to have it to get my barber's license.
When did you get your barber's license?
1976.
How long did you work as a barber?
40 years.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Why'd you stop being a barber?
Well, because I needed something that had benefits, and Albertsons had that.
And so you went to work for Albertson?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you dropped out because you had become pregnant. Was this your first pregnancy?
Yes.
Were you surprised when you were pregnant?
Yes.
Did you tell your parents?
I told my mom.
Did you tell your parents? You told your mom?
Yes.
What was her reaction when you told her?
Oh, Jacqueline.
Was she supportive?
She was.
Did you ever consider terminating your pregnancy?
Yes.
Did you ever try to terminate that pregnancy?
Yes.
What happened?
Like what?
Well, tell me, how did you go from having the idea to terminate the pregnancy to trying to terminate the pregnancy?
Well, my mother knew a doctor and went to her house, and she said she was doing an abortion on me, which I didn't realize anything except that I knew I wouldn't be pregnant anymore.
Well, whose idea was it to terminate the pregnancy?
Well, it was mine and my mother's.
And your mother was the one that took you to the doctor?
Yes.
So after your mother took you to the doctor to try to terminate the pregnancy, I guess the question I have is, was the abortion successful?
No.
How old, well, were you able to carry that child's trunk?
Yes.
And how old were you when your daughter was born?
I turned 16 the day after I had her.
Did you have a difficult birth?
No.
Any complications?
No.
Were you worried because of the failed abortion attempt?
Yeah, I was real worried.
But instead you had a healthy baby girl?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And actually, Jackie, I'm going to hand you what has already been admitted as defense exhibits 96 through 109. Okay, so I'm just going to let you hold on to those because I'm going to put them up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Defense exhibit number 96. Who is that? Is that you and your daughter?
Yep.
Jackie, where was your daughter's father throughout all of this?
Well, we were together, except not living together, but with, he was at his parents' house and I was with my mom's house.
So, did you two ever get married?
Yes.
And how long were you married?
About 3 years.
How old was your daughter when you divorced?
About 2.5 or 3.
Were you and her father married before or after you gave birth?
Before.
So you found out you were married, we had the attempted termination, and then you got married and then gave birth?
Yes, well,
And was this all before the age of 16?
yes.
Did your daughter's father ever pay child support for her after y'all separated and divorced?
No.
How did you support your daughter?
I worked normally 3 jobs.
And what kind of jobs did you have at that time?
I'd be a waitress, and then I was a shampoo girl for like 4 years before I decided to go to Barber College.
Hey, Jackie, I want to move on a little bit, and I want to talk about your second husband. Now, did the two of you live together before you married?
Yes.
At the time you moved in together, did you have any concerns about your boyfriend and your daughter?
No, not at the time.
So when y'all moved in together, you thought everything was A-okay?
Yeah, newly in love.
Before you moved in, did your daughter ever tell you that your boyfriend had sexually abused her?
Yes, she did.
And this was before you were married? And even though your daughter had told you about this incident, did you marry him anyway?
Yes, I did.
After he had moved in and y'all had gotten married, do you ever remember an occasion where your daughter had put a sign on her door?
Yes.
Do you remember what that sign said?
Something like, it was a big poster that she had on her bedroom door that said, who's ever coming in at my room at night, please stop.
At the time, did you know what that meant?
No, I mean, I automatically thought, oh, it must be a stepbrother, if he had the bedroom next door to the girls. And,
Do you know what it means now?
oh yeah,
Or what does it mean, or what did that sign mean?
that her stepdad was coming in there at night. She had told the school,
Well, that was my next question. Did she ever tell anybody about that?
yes. But she told me the first time it ever happened, and I didn't believe her. And how could I not believe a 4-year-old? That's all on me, and I live with that still. 4-year-olds don't lie.
Hi, Jackie. Did CPS or law enforcement ever get involved after
Yes.
she had told what had happened? And what happened after CPS and law enforcement got involved?
First they had opened a case and talked to each one of us, and
Was anyone ever arrested?
no,
Was anyone ever prosecuted?
no,
Did you and your second husband eventually divorce?
yes.
Now, Jackie, I want to flash forward some more, and I want to jump to a time when Melissa, or your daughter, was married or dating Tanner's father. Did you ever meet Tanner's father?
Yes,
Was he older than Melissa?
yes.
And how much older was he than your daughter?
Well, I was never real sure of his age, but, I think he was at least 10 years older.
What was their relationship like?
Fought.
Why do you say the
Oh, they
relationship?
just fought all the time.
They fought all the time? Did you ever see them fighting?
No, I mean, no, I can't say that. Melissa would just tell me they had a big fight.
Do you know if he was physically abusive to her?
Yes.
Did you ever see her with bruises?
No, can't say I saw any bruises, but he was abusive to her.
While Melissa and Terry were married, did she become pregnant with Tanner?
Yes.
Was this her first pregnancy?
Yes.
The one with Tanner was her first pregnancy?
Yes.
Did she seem happy about becoming a mother?
Yes, she was very excited.
What do you mean by very excited?
Oh, she was just happy. She was happy to have a baby.
At the time she became pregnant with Tanner, was she working?
Yes.
And after she gave birth, did she go back to her job?
Yes.
When she had gone back to working, how old was Tanner? If you can remember.
Year old?
A year old?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
When Melissa was working, who kept Tanner?
I did a lot.
Where was his father at this time?
I don't know.
When Tanner was a little boy, how did you feel about taking on so much responsibility with him?
Well, I was okay with it. I loved him. He's my first grandkid, and I figured I could be better with him than I did being a mother at the first time, because I was so young that I had a little experience by the time he came.
I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit number 97. Who is this?
It's Tanner. And the rocking chair my mother made for him.
Your mother made that for him?
Mm-hmm. But she painted it all.
What was painted on that?
Just something boyish. I don't remember.
I'm going to show you Defense Exhibit number 98. Who is that?
It's me and Tanner.
About how old is he here?
Looks like he's about 2.
I see that big smile on your face. Were you happy to keep him?
Yeah.
He bring you lots of joy?
He did. He did.
And Defense Exhibit number 99. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on in this picture?
Oh, we were just in the front yard, walking around, and he always would pick those up and blow on it. So, until it was empty.
Jackie, when Melissa had gone back to work, well, let me back up. At the time that, before Melissa became pregnant with Tanner, do you know if she was using drugs?
Before she was back to work?
Yeah, before she was pregnant.
I can't say, I can't, nothing that I saw.
Did you ever see her use drugs?
No.
Did you ever see her use drugs after the birth of Tanner?
No.
Have you ever seen your daughter under the influence of drugs?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What was her behavior like when she was using drugs?
Maybe red eyes.
And how did she behave?
Well, she was happy, and then, she was at work, and would come home and see Tanner, and as happy as can be.
Then what makes you think that she was under the influence of drugs at the time?
Well, because she came home from work.
Now, Jackie, has your daughter ever overdosed from drugs?
Not that I've seen.
Has she ever required medical attention for her drug use?
Yeah, she's been to rehabs.
So I'm going to show you defense exhibit number 100. Do you remember this?
Yep. I was at a rehab.
How often did Melissa have to go to rehabs?
She's been several times. And always wanted to go because she knew she needed it. She just really struggled.
You said that she'd gone several times. When you say several times, is that more than 4 times?
I don't recall, but that sounds good.
And this photo, defense exhibit number 100, was that taken in one of the rehab facilities?
I'm sorry, what?
Defense exhibit number 100, was that taken in one of the rehab facilities?
Yes.
How many times did you have to go visit with her in a rehab facility?
Several times.
And you said she had struggles with the drugs. What kind of struggles did she have?
I don't know, just doing them. It was not a good thing, and she knew it wasn't, but she had a hard time kicking the habit. And,
That was she using heroin at the time?
yes.
Do you recall an incident where she had taken heroin and fell asleep on the toilet?
I think I've heard that.
But do you remember when Tanner had to come get you and bring you into the bathroom and show you his mother who had passed out on the toilet?
No, I don't remember that. I heard about it after, but I don't remember when it happened.
And is that something that you're, well, one moment. Did your daughter ever have mood swings?
Yes.
Did she ever have act paranoid?
Yes.
When did you first started noticing, the paranoia and the mood swings?
Probably when she was a lot younger than when she first started using. She was always, I think it's because she's bipolar, and I think it started happening early in her age.
And so your daughter's bipolar?
Yes.
Do you know if she sought any sort of medical treatment for her mental health?
Yeah, she did.
How'd that work for her?
Well, I mean, they gave her information, and she gave her the information, and she would tell me what things, like, what else she was diagnosed with that, and, she needed to go to counseling and probably get on medicine, and which she had tried, and she didn't like the feel of it.
And Jackie, do you love your daughter?
Yes, I do.
Are these questions hard for you to answer?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about your daughter's. Let me back up. Did she ever divorce Tanner's father?
No, they never got a divorce.
But did they separate at some point?
Yes.
And did she become involved with another man?
Yes,
Did she have a child with that man?
yes.
All right, so I want to talk to you about your other grandson.
Okay.
How did Tanner react when he found out that he was going to be a big brother?
Oh, he was very excited. Very excited.
Oh, what made you think he was excited?
Well, he was just always, he just couldn't wait till the baby was born. And the day she went into labor, they were at the hospital, and we went and stopped by McDonald's to get something to eat, which he liked going there. And we sat there at 8, and then he threw up. He was so excited. I mean, he just all over the place. He was so excited he threw up. And I just spent money on that man.
How old was Tanner when he found out he was going to be a big brother?
Well, he was either 9 or 10. He was 10 when he was born, so.
I'm going to show you what is defense exhibit number 101. Is that Tanner and his little brother?
Yeah.
What do you think about when you see that photo?
Just shows the innocence, how little they were, and how precious that picture is.
Does that make you happy to see that photo?
It does.
Now, defense exhibit number 102. Is this a picture of your daughter and her 2 sons?
Yes.
Approximately how old is Tanner at the time?
He's probably 11.
Is that little brother in the high chair? Now, I want to fast forward again. I want to talk about you again. And I want to talk about your marriage to Bill. Your husband, is that your third husband?
Yes.
Okay. Your third husband, Bill, was he in the military?
Yes.
Do you remember what ranch?
Army.
Do you know if he had ever been deployed?
Yes.
Where was he deployed?
Well, he went several places, but he was in Vietnam.
Do you know what he did for the Army in Vietnam?
Well, several things he did, but the longest thing he did was he was a tunnel rat.
What's a tunnel rat?
Well, they go underneath in a tunnel and scope out the place, I guess set traps. He didn't always talk about it, but yeah, it's something that most people wouldn't want to do. Go into the unknown.
Was he looking for booby traps?
Yeah.
Was that a dangerous assignment?
Yeah. I think so.
When he retired from the military, did he receive any disability benefits from the VA?
Yes.
Would you describe Bill as a paranoid person?
Yes.
What would he do that would make you think he was paranoid?
Well, he was always, always trying to find something wrong.
What do you mean trying to find something wrong?
Well, just in daily life, he would just nitpick things, and he was angry.
He was angry? Now, would he ever sneak around the house or sneak up on people?
Well, oh yeah, I'm sure he's done that. People like to sneak up on me because I scare easy.
You had said and described Bill as an angry person. Did he have a bad temper?
Yes.
Well, why do you say he had a bad temper?
Well, he displayed it all the time. He just didn't have much patience, and he was always mad about something, and if it didn't go his way, it was nobody's way, and he just get mad.
What would he do when he got angry?
Oh, wondered that too. Many times.
And when he got angry, what would he do? I mean, would he yell? Would he throw things? What?
Well, yeah, he would yell. That was always a big one. Or not talk to me for weeks.
When Tanner was young, did he and his mom move around a lot?
Yes. Well, it depends what a lot is.
Well, in your opinion, was it a lot?
Well, I'm going to say not so much. They did live in several places, but when Melissa and I had discussed that we were going to, because where she was at that time in her life, she thought it would be a good idea that he come stay with us, my husband and I, where she knows he would be safe. And
How old was he when he came to, how old was Tanner when he came to live with you?
I'm going to say probably about 3 or 4.
Do you think that Melissa letting Tanner come to stay with you was her way of trying to give him a better life?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what she said, Mom, because I'm not doing the right thing, and I know it. She just wanted to, she knew he'd be safe with us.
She's trying to look out for him?
Oh yeah,
That she knew that
he was safe, and she always worried, she always wanted him to be okay. He didn't have that many babysitters, we were babysitters. And she just didn't trust very many people.
Jackie, what kind of things did you do for Tanner when he came to live with you?
We go to parks, we went to movies, a lot of Disney movies. We, had to plan those movies, or anything time we went somewhere, we had to plan it because he couldn't handle spur of the moment stuff. So I had to make sure he knew like days in advance that what we're gonna go do. And
Oh, go ahead.
and then we go to the zoo.
When you said that he didn't like spur of the moment, what do you mean by that?
It was too quick of a decision. I mean, I'd have to plant the seed and he'd have to think on it, I guess. That's what ended up working better, especially, that all started with doctor's appointments. That he got to where he handled that, and he knew that I would remind him every day of something that we had planned.
Did it work better for him to know in advance?
Yes.
Did it work better for you to know in advance?
Yeah, he would, yeah.
When you and Tanner would go to these Disney movies and planning gatherings, do you remember about how old he was when all of that started?
Will you repeat that, please?
When Tanner moved in, about how old was he?
I'm gonna say probably about 6, 7.
Did you enroll him in school?
Yes. I first enrolled him in daycare. So because I worked.
How old was he if you recall, when you enrolled him in daycare? Was it before he started elementary school?
Yes.
While he was at daycare, did you ever watch him with the other kids?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him, behave in a way that made you think that he was a little different?
That's quite often, but I walked in once to pick him up from school. I got off work and he was playing with some kind of little game they had at the daycare. And this little kid, he was playing by himself, and that's how he liked playing by himself. And this little kid said, "Here, let me help," or something to that extent, wanted to play too. And Tanner said, "No, you can't. And then he just turned away and not respond anymore. He just, no. And whoever that was, that little kid just said that, you're weird, or always, there was always a comment about that he was weird, awkward, different.
And these are things that you've heard these?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That time that you saw of him pushing the other child away or turning his back on the other child, was that the only time you saw that kind of behavior?
Oh, no, I've seen it many times. I've seen that, in Boy Scouts. And I go to the meetings with him, and they have them, and there are several boys that kind of were making fun of him, and I'm not sure, I don't remember what it was all about, but they started just giving him a hard time on, yeah, I don't remember exactly, but they were making fun of him.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
Okay. I was gonna say, in Defense Exhibit 106 is, what is that?
He's getting them some kind of a award for Cub Scouts.
So was it taken when he was,
Yeah.
and, when you would watch Tanner at daycare, could you notice a difference between his behavior and the other children's behavior?
Yes.
Did you see that same behavior when Tanner was at home?
Yes.
At some point, did you ever take Tanner, or was it suggested that Tanner go be tested?
Yes.
Did Melissa take him to get tested?
Yes, she did. She was all on top of that because we knew there was just someone connecting.
What was Tanner's diagnosis when you went to go get him tested? What was the diagnosis?
Well, he had ADHD and Asperger's syndrome from the Child Center Center.
How did you feel when you found out that he had a diagnosis?
Relieved that we know it was something instead of what could it be.
Was Melissa relieved as well?
Yes.
How did Bill respond to the diagnosis of Asperger's?
He didn't say a whole lot. He just, through the years, he'd just say, we'd say, well, part of his Asperger's, and, people just think that's an excuse for his behavior, and then he'd say, there ain't nothing wrong with that boy. Even a lot of times it was very obvious there was something wrong.
Did you or Melissa treat Tanner any differently because of his diagnosis?
Maybe a little more protective. Because we just felt sorry for him, because he didn't have any friends, and nobody wanted to have anything to do with him.
When you say that you were protective of him, how were you protective of him?
Him getting bullied, as he didn't always show that it bothered him, and it bothered him.
Were you there to support him?
Yes.
Because of his Asperger's diagnosis, were you able to get any Social Security benefits?
Yes.
How old was he, if you recall, when he first started to get benefits?
Gosh, I really don't remember. I want to say maybe 14.
Now, Jackie, I want to talk about Tanner's time in school, okay? I want to show you what has been offered as Defendant's Exhibit 103. Now, do you recall that photo?
Yeah.
And About how old was Tanner there?
He was about 3, or maybe 4.
What about Defense Exhibit 104? Remember about what grade he was in there?
Could that have been the 4th grade?
No, Jackie, when Tanner was in school, did he receive any special education classes?
Yes.
Do you know why he was in special education?
For his Asperger's. And it's kind of like a guideline on, because, he would always speak out, and to get his behavior under control. That would help. But they would just teach him, right, wrong, numbers, because he never did real good in school, and I never understood why he didn't, because he's very smart. But it was just, they were like a support group, and they always had his back on the difficulty of being in school and all the bullies he would face.
When you say they, are you talking about his teachers and his providers? Did you and Melissa attend any of his, what they call the ARD meetings, or the special education meetings? What were those like?
They would just give us information on how he's doing and what they're working on, how he progressed or he didn't in certain areas.
Based on these ARD meetings, did Tanner have any special kind of services?
Yeah, they would send a, trying to think what they call it. A special teacher out, and they go out to dinner or go to the store, and how to interacting with people, manners.
Did those meetings with that person seem to help Tanner?
It did. Until it was time that she just didn't come anymore, and we needed to pick up the slack, and we probably did for a little while.
Were you able to continue that?
Well, we did a little bit, but some of it was stuff that, like his manners, we were always big on manners. So no, we didn't follow through all the way.
How did Tanner react when he stopped having these meetings with his teacher?
Well, I think he kind of missed it because he looked forward to having that time with something different besides the people at home, he looked forward to it.
Now, Jackie, you talked before about Tanner being bullied in school and having to deal with other bullies. Is Tanner a friendly person?
Oh, yeah.
Is he outgoing?
Yeah, sometimes he's not, but yeah.
Did he like to talk a lot?
Yes.
Does he still like to talk a lot?
Yes.
When he was in school, did you ever see him trying to make friends with the other students?
Oh, yeah.
Was he able to?
Well, there might have been a few, but once they start talking to him, they would kind of, and kind of back off.
I think the words you used before were weirdo and awkward.
Yeah, because it was awkward. It was awkward. It's awkward for an adult to feel awkward talking to a kid.
How did Tanner take it when these other kids would start calling him names?
He just oh, it's okay, Mimi. I'm used to it.
He called you Mimi?
Yeah.
And how did you feel when he said those things to you?
I hurt for him. I mean, painful.
Was this the only time that seeing those kids call him names and hearing the names that he was called, was that the only time that you saw Tanner being bullied?
Not,
Do you recall an incident at a wrestling match?
oh yeah.
Tell us about that. What happened?
The wrestling match was over, and Tanner was walking in front of me, going to get a drink, and some guy that had been wrestling too walked up next to him and just kind of, hey, you punk, you weirdo, or what are you doing? You're not going to do, just all kinds of put downs to him. And he didn't know who I was, but I said, why are you talking to him like that? Because he realized there was somebody with him. But that just came out of nowhere. He just ran up there and started bad-mouthing me. And then again, he tries to make me feel okay about what happened.
So even though Tanner is the one that is being bullied, he's trying to comfort you?
Yeah, I mean,
Jackie, in spite of all of the issues that Tanner had in high school and in elementary school and in middle school, was he able to graduate from high school?
yes, he was. And he was so proud. I was so proud for him.
Was he the first person in your family to actually graduate from high school?
Yes, he was. That was a big accomplishment.
I'm going to show you what is, I believe, Defense Exhibit 107. Is that a copy of his high school announcement?
Yes.
So it was, other than the fact that he was the first person to graduate, was the fact that he graduated a big deal for your family?
Yes.
And why was it a big deal
Well,
for
I
you?
mean, because he graduated, that wasn't a real popular thing in my family or his dad's side of the family. I don't think anybody else had graduated. And he just wanted to, make his parents proud.
Was that important to him?
Well, yeah, because he wanted to be the only one to do that.
Yeah, let me learn. You're on camera, so witness?
Yes.
Maybe first.
Huh?
Jackie, I want to talk about Tanner's musical abilities. Tell us about that. Was Tanner a musical guy?
Yes, the drummer.
Where did he get his first set of drums?
Me and his papa bought it for his 16th birthday.
When you say Papa, who are you talking about?
Oh, Bill.
His grandfather?
Yes.
Well, why'd y'all give him the drums?
Because he always went around all the time, and thought we could put that to use. And he did.
Was he a good drummer?
Yeah, he was.
Did he take lessons?
No,
Did he play any other kind of instruments?
he played the bass. Probably a couple other things, but I don't know what it is.
Now, Jackie, you mentioned that you and Bill got him the drum set. I want to talk a little bit about Bill and Tanner's relationship. Was your husband the authority figure in the house?
Yes.
How did he show his authority?
by being demanding, overbearing a lot of times, and he wants to like get a point across that wasn't, see. He's not angry at all. And sometimes that's how he just kind of bullied his way into, this is what you do. For instance, go out and mow the yard, Tanner. And he'd never showed him how to mow the yard. And he'd get out there and just do it either way. And then, you know, why didn't you use your head? You know, do I have to show you everything? It just little things that he thought would have been easy for him. And then when things weren't going exactly how he thought it should be, you know, it was always a problem.
Were there some things that it took Tanner a little while longer to catch on to?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of things? Pardon me? What kind of things?
I'm not sure, I cannot remember everything right now. I can't, except the one thing I remember is Bill had gotten really mad at Hannah. And he went back there to his room and just, you know, started complaining to him. And then he came back up and he said, you know, I've had it with him. I'm going to get that stick that I told you about, and I'm going to take him down. And he actually said, I didn't actually believe him at first.
Okay, now Jackie, I'm going to stop you right there for a minute because we had a lot of he's and hims. And I want to make sure that the jury understands who we're talking about, okay?
Yeah.
You said that he went back to his room. Who went back to whose room?
Bill went back to Tanner's room.
Had they had an argument before?
Yes, but I had not heard about it. Or if I did, it'd been days or weeks.
And you mentioned something about a stick. Tell us about the stick.
It was kind of like a dowel rod, kind of like. It was about this big, long, about this big around.
Is that the stick that you're referring to on defense exhibit number 109?
Yes.
What did Bill do with that stick?
He told Tanner, stand still. Just stand still. And Tanner's just standing there, yeah. After I'd already told him, I said, Tanner, you need to leave because he's mad. And I said, you need to leave because he's mad. And he said, oh, it wouldn't hurt me. Well, so he stood there and he acted like he was playing baseball and got that big stick and just swung it at him and hit him across his chest and stomach area. I mean, and it just happened so quick and he just fell down like, you know, he was a big guy. I'm surprised that he went down like that.
So Bill hit, you said that he took it like a baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And he swung and hit Tanner with that stick that's in defense exhibit 109?
Yes.
When you say that Tanner went down, what do you mean he went down?
I mean, he just went down like a rag doll.
Were you afraid?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
It was terrible. I mean, it was like a movie. It was terrible.
Was that something that you would have ever expected?
No. No. And neither would he. It shocked Tanner. He couldn't believe it.
What did Tanner do after Bill hit him with that stick?
You know, he was crying. Went back to his room and came back about 15 or 20 minutes later, bleeding everywhere. He cut his arm and it was just, the blood was just pouring out. And Bill thought, he said, well, I guess you ought to take him to the hospital. And I did.
Did Bill seem concerned at all?
No.
What happened when you took him to the hospital?
Well, he went in and they looked at it and got, I don't remember how many stitches, but at least 10. And
Jackie, in spite of the bullying by Bill, and in spite of being hit, did Tanner still love his papa?
yeah, he did, but I think that may have, I think that made him think twice about it, you know.
And when Bill passed away, how did that affect Tanner?
He was very sad.
Jackie, I want to talk to you about your grandchild.
Okay, my great grand.
I'm sorry, your great grand, that's right. How old, do you know the mother of
Yes.
your great grandchild? Again, we're not going to go into names, and we aren't going to talk about the name of your great grandchild either. But were Tanner and the mother together when the child was born? Were they still dating?
Yes.
How did Tanner react when he found out that he was going to be a father?
Oh, he was real excited.
Did he seem to enjoy being a dad?
Yes.
What kinds of things would Tanner do with his son?
I mean, just play with him and hold him and feed him, change the diaper. You know, I wasn't around a whole lot right then. But he took good care of him.
Did he like to show his son off to other people?
Oh, yeah. Bring a grin to his face.
May I approach your honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Jackie, I'm going to show you what has been already admitted into evidence as defense exhibits number 106 to 108. Would you take a look at those? And I see you smiling again. Why are you smiling?
Pictures.
That's it. What is it? Oh, those are the only three.
Oh, I'm gonna make one out of it.
Oh. What is it about these pictures that is making you smile?
Well, because Tanner was so happy and that little baby. He was so cute.
What does it make you feel like when you see these pictures?
Well, of course it makes me feel proud. It's, I mean, it's sad that, you know, he'll never be a daddy that he wanted to be. So, he got a little guy to be proud of.
Yeah, may I publish to the jury?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Jackie, you know why we're here, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You know that your grandson has pled guilty to kidnapping and killing Athena Strand.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about the time leading up to that horrible day, okay? In the weeks leading up to this incident, based on your observations of Tanner, did he appear to be under a lot of stress at that time?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, they've been staying with the other grandmother, and they came over after they had some kind of a disagreement, and he was just, he had just gotten another job, and he was nervous about that, nervous about being inside, being at the house, and Cassie being, she just always wanted to do something. He'd be at work all day, and then she would be there all day, and then she'd want to, go out and do things and eat and, spend money or whatever. And it was getting to him because he wasn't getting good sleep because he'd end up staying up too late, and he was just stressed out. And I just want to add one thing is, he had told me that, I don't remember what day it was, but he said, I made an appointment with the doctor to get back on that medicine. I was so proud that he said that. And I thought, wow, he's really maturing. Because he figured that out by himself. So that, just all, and you could just tell he was stressed because he was so snappy and kind of shaky.
We've been talking a lot about the hard time that Tanner's had in his life. And what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the good things. Now, the defense's exhibits with pictures of Tanner and his son. Would you consider that some of the good things in his life?
Yes.
Do you think that you and Tanner have a close relationship?
Yes.
Before this all happened, would y'all do a lot of things together?
Well, probably not as much because he, had a baby and all that and involved, but he had not been living at the house for a while. And, we've always had that closeness.
Did you and Tanner, while he was growing up, did y'all attend church together?
Yes.
How long did y'all attend church together?
How long? I started going in 2002. My mother had just passed away, and he had said, Mimi, I want to start going to church. And I had been wanting to get back to church. And we visited a few churches, and then we ended up finding Outreach of Love or Legacy Church. And we went there and we loved it, and we stayed for 20 years.
At some point, did Tanner step away from the church?
Yes. After he started with the drums and then talking about getting a band and working and having a car.
Since his arrest, has he gone back to the Bible? And gone back to church?
Yes. Yeah, I bought him a Bible that I looked online. Yeah. The Old Testament and the new one, all in one book.
Yeah, Preacher on?
Yes, ma'am.
Jackie, I'm going to show you what has been admitted into evidence defense exhibits 110, 111, 112, and 113. Is that the Bible you bought, Tanner?
Yep. That's a thick one.
Oh, that's a little thing.
Taking notes.
How does it make you feel to see that he's been taking notes in his Bible?
Wow. I think it's good. Very good.
Is that published, Your Honor?
Yes.
What I wanted to ask you is, what is your happiest memory of your grandson?
Well, there's probably several. It was in the 4th grade, and they had a talent show, and he sang "Who Let the Dogs Out." He did this whole thing, he did the whole dance and everything, and kind of surprised me that he did that all on his own, but he did.
And defense exhibit number 113 is that a picture of that talent show?
Yeah.
Jackie, how has all of this affected and impacted you and your family?
Horrific. We're just devastated. And I'm so sorry for Athena's parents. More than you'll ever know. We think about you every day, and I pray for you every day. I feel like there's nothing I can say to make anything better, and I'm sure there's not. I just want you to know that I have not forgotten you or your daughter. Every day we think about her. And you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Yeah, briefly, Your Honor. This stick incident that we talked about with the picture of the stick on there,
Yeah.
how old was Tanner when that happened?
Gosh. 25 maybe?
So he was, and I didn't get that before, he wasn't like a little kid or something, was he?
No.
He was a grown man when that happened,
Yes.
in his 20s. All right. Now, make sure. It sounds like, ma'am, I just, it sounds like throughout your entire life, you have worked hard despite your struggles. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
It seems like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you did the best of what you could with what you had. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And I bet you today, if that wheelchair didn't have you bound up there, you'd still be working today, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
No matter what got you down, or no matter what happened, you were still gonna do the best you could, right?
Yes.
Now, from the time that Mr. Horner was born, what I'm getting the impression of is that you've always been there for him, haven't you?
Yes.
And even all the problems with his mother and everything going on in the house, you were still working and you were still taking care of him, weren't you?
Yes.
And it sounds like, to me, you were pretty much his mom.
Well, I was Mimi.
But you fed him, right?
Mhm.
You clothed him. Is that right?
Yes.
Put a roof over his head.
Yes.
Even into his 30s, when he was struggling, you still put a roof over his head.
Yes.
And I'm betting you still cook for him, even in his 30s, when he was there at your place.
I would, but he's a good cook.
Okay. But you were still helping him, even into his 30s, right?
Yes.
And all the things that we're talking about, you showed up and you were the one there every time for him, right?
I believe so.
And as part of that, you taught him how to behave, right?
Try to redirect it to something more positive.
Right. I'm guessing you tried to show him some work ethic,
Yes.
give him some skills to be a grown man in the world, right?
Yes.
Maybe even gave him some dad advice whenever he had his kid and how to take care of his kid, I bet. Is that right?
Yep.
Have you been keeping up with the testimony in this case?
Not all of it.
Not all of it?
No, I'm not. When I found out I wasn't supposed to watch it, I quit watching it.
I think the judge appreciates that. But when we first talked to you in this case, you didn't really know what Tanner had actually done, did you?
No.
You know now, don't you?
Yes.
Now, I just want to be clear about a couple of things here. Who's responsible for putting us here today where we are today?
I'm sorry, what?
Who's responsible for putting us here for where we are today?
Tanner.
Not his stress of being in work or anything like that. That's not responsible for why we're here today, is it?
No.
Not the fact that he had Asperger's. That's not putting us here today, is it?
You want me to answer that?
Yes.
I think his problems had something to do with it.
He knows right from wrong, though, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He knows not to kill,
Yes, he knows that.
knows not to sexually assault a child.
Yeah. Totally shocked. I couldn't believe it myself. And it doesn't sound like him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and I want to make clear about this, on the day after the offense, you communicated with him and sent him pictures of Athena, did you not?
I took a picture because it was on the TV. And I called him and said, Tanner, I know you're working out in Paradise. Please look out for this little girl. She's missing.
This was after he'd already killed her and after he already done it.
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, you know now that was.
Yeah.
And what was his response to you when you informed him about this little girl missing and you sent him a picture? What was his response?
He's like, okay, I'll look out for her. It was kind of a generic answer. But he didn't go on.
What did you want?
Huh?
What was your last comment?
He didn't dwell on it.
He didn't say he did it, did he?
Well,
He didn't admit anything, he did.
no. I would have called you.
That's what it's.
Redirect.
Jackie, you know what happened in this case now? Are you angry with your grandson?
Yes, I am.
If, even though you're angry with him, and do you still love him?
Well, sure, I still love him. I'm very angry, and I'm still working through this. And I still love him.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. State.
Nothing further.
Okay, we're done for the day. And I will see y'all Monday morning, okay? Enjoy your weekend. Stay dry.